I'm Batman. I remember it because I'm Batman. Today, we're gonna look at one of the greatest animated shows that ever hit television. Batman, the animated series. And by the way, you weigh a little more than 108. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't do Keaton very well. Let's try Christian Bale. This cartoon just showed you that it's full of people ready to believe in good. Okay, that's not gonna work. Let's try Val Kilmer. I'll get drive-through. Okay, that's definitely not gonna happen. Let's try George Clooney. Hi, I'm George Clooney. Okay, fuck this shit. I'm just doing it as myself. Yes, I've gone on record several times saying that Batman the Animated Series is the best nostalgic show ever, as well as one of the best cartoons of all time. It was dark, it was tragic, it was funny, it was goofy, it was serious. It had something for everybody. But which episodes were the absolute best? Which ones left the greatest impact on us, whether it be action-packed or dramatically heartbreaking? There's a lot to choose from, and I promise I'll try to keep my spoilers to a minimum. Oh, except maybe this one. Batman and Robin sucks! The only downside is I don't have any more Batmans to imitate. Oh, wait a minute! Kevin Conroy! That's fitting! Hold on, let me just take some testosterone pills here. Whoa, my testicles just hit the floor. This is the top 11 best Batman animated series episodes. I don't wear hockey pads! Number 11. Beware the Grey Ghost. Though a good episode, a lot of it holds up particularly well because of the celebrity voice they use, but I'll get to that in a second. The episode centers around an old TV show called The Grey Ghost that Bruce Wayne used to watch as a kid. Years later, it turns out some psycho is imitating one of the villains from the show, and since all the episodes were destroyed, Batman goes to the star himself, the Grey Ghost, for help.
I'm just an actor. The Grey Ghost was a part I played.
The bombings in Gotham are exactly like an episode of The Grey Ghost. I need you to remember how it was done.
It's a good episode because it's a decent mystery. It's neat to see Bruce Wayne's inspiration as well as actually some happy flashbacks to his childhood. And it also shows the dramatic downside to both having and losing fame. Although I will admit, it's a little weird to see Batman actually go fanboy for somebody. I mean, when you're a kid, it's one thing, but the idea of Batman, the Dark Knight, having a little shrine in his Batcave dedicated to a TV show? Jesus, Batman, you're a dork!
As a kid, I used to watch you with my father. The Grey Ghost was my hero.
Now, give me a lock of your hair. I'm totally gonna smell it every night!
But what really makes the episode stand out is who they got to play the Grey Ghost. None other than the original TV Batman himself, Adam West.
Like you said, you need my help.
Rather than just make a funny little joke that two Batmans are in the same show, they actually demonstrate a lot of dignity in having these two together, and even cleverly mirror some of the realities that really did go on with the original Batman shows, but never to a point where it's insulting or it's satirical.
I used to admire what the Grey Ghost stood for.
I'm not the Grey Ghost.
I can see that now.
There was a real respect to this team-up, and it shows in just how much effort the writers and directors put into it. We became passionate about the episode because they became passionate about the episode. Two Batmans for the price of one. What's not to like?
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Number 10. The Man Who Killed Batman. This one gets overlooked a lot, but it really is a gem. A little twerp named the Squid wants to make a name for himself as a big-time gangster, but nobody wants him because he's a timid little screw-up.
Why did you bring along that loser? He's useless.
Not as bait for Batman. He'll be too busy kicking the crud out of Sid to notice us.
But it turns out he stumbles upon a bit of luck when he accidentally knocks Batman off a cliff and apparently kills him.
He came right at me. I was just trying to get away and he went over the side.
Sid the Squid just off the Batman.
Suddenly, he's the most notorious criminal in town, and everybody is in awe of his accomplishment.
Suddenly I'm thinking, if I take down the guy who took down Batman, then I'll be the toughest guy in town.
Hey, you got my vote, Chief.
But again, with that fame comes a price. People start to challenge him to fights, others try to murder him. Even the Joker seems mighty pissed off that there's no more fun to be had with the mythical Dark Knight.
There's a certain rhythm to these things. I cause trouble, he shows up. We have some laughs and the game starts all over again. Without Batman, crime has no punchline.
There's an especially funny scene where the Joker actually throws a funeral for Batman, and of course it's totally keeping in character.
It's time to look ahead to a future filled with smiles. Just as soon as we take that man there and slap him in that box there and roll it into that vat of acid there.
And for the record, Harley's kazoo playing is nowhere near as good as Paw's kazoo playing. It's a classic case of a person who wanted fame and attention, but wasn't ready for the pain and responsibility that came with it.
No one's that lucky or stupid.
Yes, I am.
The story is great, the scenes with the Joker are hilarious, and actor Matt Frewer as the Squid really makes a perfect comic foil.
Oh. Sorry about the leather.
It's a perfectly told tale of what happens when too much recognition comes to the wrong person at the wrong time.
Guess I can't win for losing, huh?
Number 9. Mad Love. One of the show's crowning achievements was the creation of Harley Quinn, who has since become many people's favorite Batman character. But we've never actually known her history. They've hinted at it before and dropped clues here and there, but they've never given us the straight-up details about how she ended up with the Joker. Well, this is the episode that sets it all straight. It turns out Harley was an intern at Arkham Asylum and was looking to cash in on one of the high-profile criminals to write a tell-all book about.
You can't deny there's an element of glamour to these super criminals.
I'll warn you right now. These are hardcore psychotics. If you're thinking about cashing in on them, think again.
But when she started interviewing the Joker, he played to her weaknesses and his mind games slowly started to sink in. And just like the Dark Knight, we have no idea if his past story is the real one or a false one.
My father used to beat me up pretty badly. Every time I got out of line, bam!
And one night, he goes off crazier than usual.
It's also the first time we get a very strong indicator that the Joker and Harley have, well, made whoopee cushion. I mean, it was hinted at before, but this scene pretty much cements that they've been together.
Don't you want to rev up your Harley? Vroom, vroom.
Because of that, we see in more detail just how violent the relationship is between the two of them, and how the Joker is and always has used her as just a means to an end.
You've forgotten what I told you a long time ago. You always take shots from folks who just don't get the joke. And don't call me Puddin'.
It's actually a pretty tragic look at abusive relationships in general. And no matter just how tormenting one can be to another, there's always something that keeps the other coming back for more. Yeah, there's quite a bit of fan service, and I don't know why the Joker looks like Mickey Mouse, but it's still a solid episode that finally fills us in with all the questions we had about our favorite henchwoman. And it didn't disappoint with the answers.
My fault. I didn't get the joke.
Number 8. Birds of a Feather. This is another one that's often overlooked. The Penguin, who's considered one of the more sophisticated of the criminals, decides he wants to change his way and become a civilized bird once he makes parole. And he means it. He actually starts to change his ways and tries to blend in as an average citizen. He finds, though, that nobody's waiting for him and nobody's happy for his return, especially Batman.
Haven't you heard? I've reformed.
Wherever you go, I'll be right behind you.
But it turns out an extremely rich woman named Veronica wants to date the Penguin so she can make the headlines by inviting him to her party.
I've just snagged the Penguin for my party.
Why?
For the entertainment, Dodo. Can't you just see their faces when that stuffed capon waddles in?
She's pretty much dating him as a joke, just a means to get attention from other rich people. She quickly finds, though, that he's not as charming as she thought, and, well, it's pretty fucking gross. But the attention she's getting is far too much for her to pass up. While she's dating him mostly to make fun of him, the Penguin takes it very seriously, and even starts to fall in love with her. And after an incident where he saves her life, even she starts to see a little bit of good in him.
You know, it was quite touching, actually. It's not often that a man rushes to my rescue. Unfortunately, he wants to see me again.
But like all tragic tales, the truth is revealed at just the wrong moment, which causes the Penguin's heart to be broken and return back to his villainous ways. The episode is actually very similar to another one called Harley's Holiday, where Harley Quinn starts a new life for herself, finds it hard to fit in, and also tragically gets thrown back to her old ways. But this one takes its time a little bit more. It shows how involved the Penguin really got into the relationship, and how close he really was to turning over a new leaf. It's more detailed, it's more cruel, and therefore more sad. Not only does the Penguin almost truly reform himself, but Veronica almost does too. And if it didn't all spawn from such a cruel joke, maybe both these people could have turned out to be better.
I really was growing fond of you. It's too bad this had to happen.
I suppose it's true what they say. Society is to blame. High society.
It's a tale of what could have been and what shouldn't be done. Ain't love a bitch? Number 7. Two-Face. Considered one of the most depressing of the Batman villains, Harvey Two-Face Dent is a criminal with a deep and complex backstory. He suffers from an extreme split personality, which causes him to flip-flop from a kind, intelligent politician, there's so few, to a bloodthirsty monster who lunges out at random. He has bad dreams, hears the voice in his head, and at the worst-case scenario, he actually becomes the other personality.
I would like to talk with Big Bad Harv.
I don't think he wants to talk.
Please try. Big Bad Harv?
Speaking.
What makes this character so good in the show is that the transformation episode isn't the first time we see Harvey. They've actually established him several episodes before. He hangs out with Bruce Wayne, goes on dates, helps out the commissioner, so he was a completely set up character that we really got to like. So when this episode came out, it was a genuine shock to see the demons he was battling.
If anyone's leaving, it's Mr. Goody-Good.
And maybe you with them.
Did I do this?
Instead of acid being thrown in his face, we have an explosion that destroys half of his body. To see this character permanently lose himself to the other personality is just gut-wrenching. Throw in a tragic childhood, the fact that he had a fiancé, and on top of that, we even have the guilt that Batman feels for not being able to save his best friend. I mean, just look at some of these dream sequences.
Harvey, please, let me help you.
Why couldn't you save me? Why couldn't you save us, son?
Jesus, man! Could you throw like a happy face in there or something?
Why couldn't you save us, son?
The angles are great, the shadows are great, the animation is great, it's just a great episode. Two-Face is just another addition to the Lost Souls that makes this show so friggin' hardcore.
It's time, Harvey. It's time.
Number 6. Over the Edge. Now, with a title like that, you know some shit has to go down in this episode. And by God, it does. Get a load of this opening. It starts out with Batman and Robin being chased by Commissioner Gordon and his men trying to gun them down right after they arrest Alfred. And the award for best what the fuck opening goes to... that! I mean, holy fuck, that's one hell of a way to start out! But that's nothing. That's just the intro. Every holy shit moment you can imagine happens right after this. We find out in a flashback that because of a fight with the Scarecrow, Batgirl gets killed, smashes into her father's car, and Gordon then finds out that she was his daughter the whole time.
How could you? I worked with you, trusted you. And you never told me?
He quickly discovers who Batman is, goes full force in taking him down, Nightwing is taken to jail, Robin is told to turn himself in, Gordon even makes a deal with Bane to go after Batman, knowing he'll show up to his daughter's funeral. Good fuckity hell!
There's no place to run, Wayne. I want him alive. Alive to rot away in Arkham, surrounded by the monsters he's created.
How can anyone not like a setup like this? It's intense, it's action-packed, it's just awesome. Now, the problem that most people have with this episode is the ending. And Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I thought it wasn't a bit of a cop-out, too. I don't know, maybe it's because we could all see it coming, and I guess we sort of thought they'd throw a better twist on top of it, but it's not one of the stronger endings. Despite that, though, the majority of the episode still holds up pretty strong, and it's still a great what-if story. It's dark, it's brooding, and the scenario is pretty extreme. And for those wondering how the ending